This is gorgeous antelope haunch. We're going to trim a muscle out of here, dice it up, sweat some veg, brown some antelope. We're going to add some stock and some Guinness and some sherry and some sherry wine vinegar and make a delicious antelope stew, to which we are going to add a little bit of spätzle, tiny little dumplings. Antelope is very lean. It's not gamey in the least. I tell people all the time lamb chops are gamier. It's better for you. It tastes delicious. It's super clean. You may never go back to eating beef again. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to get our vegetables ready. I've got some celery and carrot here. These are already peeled and washed. I don't want this dish to be too sweet. I want to taste the bitterness of the Guinness. So I'm just putting 2 carrots in. I love biting into big pieces of celery. I'm just gonna cut this on an angle. We have tomatoes. I have onions, lots of diced leeks. There's nothing better in my mind than leeks, herbs, and Guinness for braising meat. It is a marriage made in heaven. Garlic cloves, and I just like to smash them. And I'm putting everything in one bowl so I can add it all, one move, into my pot. This is rosemary, thyme, parsley, and a bay leaf. This goes into my pot, and then at the end, I take it out of my pot. Super, super easy. I have a nice fire going in here, roughly 325 degrees. I'm going to add my oil. I can see it shimmering right away. And then my pot goes back into the oven. Right now, those vegetables are roasting in there. Pretty cool, huh? What sort of spices go well with this? Well, sweet spices do. A little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, some ground clove, and ground nutmeg. So now I'm gonna add all of my sweet spices and brown sugar, my tomatoes, and let that cook in there for a little while. And I'm gonna put the door up. I still have a little bit of a draft, because now that my sweet spices are in there, I don't wanna scorch them. Nice big haunch. You can see that sheath of silver skin is a long, tapered muscle that's pretty nicely marbled. Remove the top layer of I'm just peeling that away. If I remove it all, I can basically separate that muscle with my fingers. Just feather your knife and literally let the sinew here tell you where those muscles are. That is gonna be plenty. Hook your fingers under whatever incision you make and just take away some of that heavy sinew. So I wanna take that off, because while it's on my board and while I have my knife, why not make it perfect? And if I turn this over, well, look at that. I think that's gonna be plenty, and you have that beautiful inside round. Boy, doesn't that look perfect? The smell of those sweet spices, we're getting a lot of acidity from the tomatoes. That is just cooked down beautifully. I'm just gonna lean that back because I wanna start browning my antelope. This is a beautifully marbled piece of meat, and I'm just gonna cut them into strips. What is that, ½ an inch, 1/3 of an inch maybe? So that you have a bite on the end of your fork or spoon, but it's thin enough so that it gets tender when it braises, right? It's a nice bite by the time it shrinks down, but it's gonna cook in 90 minutes. And I'm just gonna make sure I have about 2 pounds of meat here. All right. I'm just gonna add a little oil, put that in to my fire, put the meat into that oil. I can hear it sizzling. And now I'm putting the meat as close to the fire as I can. We'll pull that out in about 60 seconds and give it a stir. And we're just gonna repeat that once or twice. I don't need all sides of each piece browned. The idea is to brown some of the pieces so that roasty, toasty antelope flavor is in the stew. So I'm just coating this meat in the hot oil, and I'm going to spread it flat like that. Brown roast for a couple of minutes. Oh yes, we have nice little brown caramelization on those pieces of meat. Stir that all together. Don't want to lose any of those juices or dry that out. Now, we want to add our liquids. So the first thing is our Guinness. And I want to bring that to a boil pretty fast. I'm going to add my sherry with that and let it come to a simmer before we add our stock. I want to make sure that the pot has thermal momentum, so it's just always cooking, which is why my Guinness was at room temperature. Don't just grab things out of the fridge unless they have to come out of the fridge, like dairy or other things. Have your foods room temperature. It starts cooking immediately. That looks beautiful. Let's add some stock. Incorporate that. Now remember, we have the acidity from our tomatoes. We have all of our liquids in there, and that includes the juices from the meat itself, our Guinness, our nice dark beef stock. I'm gonna season this with a little vinegar. Vinegar is just another acid. I'm gonna add some ground black pepper, and the reason I'm doing that now is that I want the pepper flavor in there, but I didn't want to burn it in that hot fire. That'll cook for 90 minutes or so. And we're looking for anything around 300, 325 is perfect. I can smell the sherry and the Guinness and the herbs and the antelope. It's the worst part of my job. Not the waiting, not the smelling. It's the smelling and the waiting. Waiting and smelling and tasting and cooking. If I sing any more of that song, we have to pay royalties. Let's make our spätzle. Flour, salt, white pepper already ground, nutmeg, just a few pinches. Whisk it together. That way we know those dry seasonings are really well incorporated in our flour. 1 egg, 2 eggs, fork. Beat these well. Add your milk. And then all we're going to do, make a well in the center and just slowly pour this in. You should have a nice, sticky, wet dough. And we're just gonna cover that with a little bit of plastic wrap. When we are ready to serve, we're going to load that batter into this spätzle press. It's like a grater that you can't hurt yourself on, but it's got this little cup attachment. And you just move this back and forth, and it drops fat raindrops of dough into your boiling water. Drain it, season it with a little parsley and butter. Some people like to twice cook it, but it makes these tiny little dumplings. It's a wonderful, vastly underappreciated starch. Spätzle, underappreciated, into the fridge. I'll chop some parsley for garnish. We have some water boiling. And now we'll cook the spätzle. Look at that. These only need to cook for a few minutes. A little salt, parsley, some butter. That is gonna be delicious. It's so chewy and bouncy, and the nutmeg in there is just out of sight. All right, see how the star of the show is? This has been about 90 minutes. Started out hot, but we were able to cool it off. Now, we're not cooking in a pressure cooker, right? We're cooking in a fire. So you have to remember you're gonna get evaporation in that oven. Here, look where I scraped. That's brown, the color of flavor. And all of those juices have reduced. And I'm just piling that on one side of our bowl, because on the other side of the bowl, I'm gonna put our spätzle. And we were very smart. We had the forethought to cut the meat the right way. By cutting those thin little strips, we're able to make something that is absolutely melt in your mouth tender. The wonderful bitter flavors of the Guinness, the sweet flavors of the sherry, and all those vegetables and sweet spices. And all of those herbs and vegetables pull out all of the delicate, nuanced, nutty flavors of the antelope. That meat is so delicious, and it's essentially caramelized twice in there. And you can smell the faint smokiness of the wood-burning oven. Remember, there's an aroma transfer. And spätzle, the most underappreciated starch that I know of. This is a home run way to utilize muscles from the leg of any venison species. Grind plenty, but use your leg muscles for this kind of thing. It's so elegant, it's so delicious, and your family is gonna love you for it. And while the spätzle might truly be underappreciated, my friends at Broken Arrow Ranch are not. We thank them for allowing us to cook here down at their Creekside Pavilion and for this incredible antelope.